Can you win a Pulitzer for a podcast?
I think so.
After that moment,
we're about to.
After that moment, that was special. One of today's sponsors of the podcast is FreeFlow. FreeFlow is a marketplace to connect with vetted blockchain developers. Next time you're building a project in the Web3 space, anything from minting dApps to DeFi protocols or even blockchain games, FreeFlow can help you do it safely and efficiently. Start by joining the FreeFlow Discord, and one of the very friendly admins will greet you. Share what tasks you need completed or what you're interested in building, and they will connect you with vetted developers right then and there. All FreeFlow developers are vetted for their technical skills, reputation, and identity. Once you decide who you'd like to work with, they can organize work agreements and even offer secure payment methods to ensure your projects always run smoothly. Don't leave your next project up to chance. Build with people that you can trust. Join their Discord server today to get started working with some of the best devs and talent in the Web3 space. Links included below in the description to check it out, guys. As always, please remember that FreeFlow and all other sponsors of the podcast are sponsors and thus have a material relationship with the podcast. Make sure to do your own research before investing in anything. What's going on, guys, and welcome back to NGMI, the Web3 show, aka the future #1 podcast in the world. With me today, I have my beautiful, sexy, and humble co-host, K Money. Kevin, what's going on?
Yo, nothing much, man. How you doing today?
I'm pretty good. We got a pretty special guest on the show. You should talk to him instead of me.
I know. Sorry. I'm just so excited. I was just trying to allude back to you because I'm nervous to speak to one of my, honestly, like childhood heroes. You all know this man. You've seen his movies. You've seen his shows. You've heard his voice in many different pieces of media and content. You all know him. You all love him. And I don't know how we booked him, to be honest. This man is Seth Green. Welcome to the show, Seth Green.
Thanks, guys.
Good intro, Kevin.
Just so humble. Thanks, guys.
Seth, it's good to have you. It's good to have you on the show today. Like Kay said, we're both very excited. And most of our viewers probably do know who you are. And if you somehow don't know who Seth Green is, you know, this man has had a prolific career as an actor, as a writer, legendary commercials in the 90s, one of which I know, Seth, netted you a key to New Orleans that you may or may not still have. Do you still have that?
Yeah, of course I do. But it was one of the smaller ones. And I've actually seen people in New Orleans get like a full-size one. And so I feel like maybe it's not the real key. It might have just been a ceremonial key.
They might have duped you, but I don't have one at all. So you're beating me. But look,
do you think the key was like made based off of like your height? Just like
I don't know.
I'm just wondering.
I hadn't considered that if the scale of the key is a percentage of your total mass. I hadn't even thought about that. It's a good theory, Kev. Thank you.
Well,
of course.
Kevin's would be tiny. Kevin's would be tiny too, and I'd have a giant key.
That's true.
But yeah, so I think
the key may not be big, but the ring is enormous.
Yeah.
It's how you use the key in the lock. Let's be real, boys. Yeah, I saw Shaq's key. It was huge. This looks really sus. What we're talking about now. I'm just gonna pass it back.
Listen. Seth, I think most of the folks watching this are aware of your work, right? Family Guy, Marvel films, tons of TV shows and movies, Robot Chicken, even some video games that I want to talk about later. And of course, a presence in the Web3 space. But Seth, before we get into anything Web3 related, or you know, even your accolades, right? I want to start off by knowing, like, what are you doing now? What is Seth Green doing now? What occupies you, and what are sort of your current interests?
Well, I've been a partner in an animation and production studio for the last 10 years. And we've produced things like Robot Chicken and created a bunch of shows, something called Crossing Swords on Hulu. We did a series called MODOK for Marvel. We've created a bunch of different kinds of things. And so my biggest goal has been to make that place a viable and successful intellectual property generative studio, meaning that we come up with ideas or collaborate with people who are have a great idea that we want to help see to fruition, and then we set about making it. Or if I have an idea, we'll set about making it. So one of those ideas I had at the beginning of the year was half-hour comedy dramedy called The White Horse Tavern, which is sort of like a Cheers. We had another great comp. It's not quite as like bombastic as something like New Girl, but it deals with the same kind of modern, what's it like to try and date? What's it like to try and work? The whole context is a bar where you'd want to hang out. A place where all the people that work there are kind of like a found family, and anybody can come. Anybody can be accepted. You just can't be an asshole. So I've been working on that, putting that show together pretty much all year. I'm very excited about that. And the thing I think that attracted so much attention to it is that the concept of the show is that animated characters and live action characters live seamlessly in a Manhattan where nobody cares about any of those details. So it's not like a Toontown. It's not like animated characters can get these kinds of jobs and live action characters can get these kinds of jobs. It's more like a New York where, New York's one of the best melting pots on the planet because everybody comes there. And so you can't hate a group of people wholesale and function in New York. You have to find individual reasons to hate every person. And as a result, human beings are just on top of each other all day long. You all ride the subway, you all walk the blocks, and it doesn't matter if you're a garbage man or a movie star. Like, you are in the same space. You have to coexist in this city. That's a beautiful thing. I love the idea of telling a show, making a show that tells that story, but using a very heightened example of those differences to more visually bring you into those kinds of conflicts without having to make it about race or religion or any of these other kinds of things. And so my pitch, because our studio has gotten really adept at doing animated hybrid stuff, doing live action composition with animated characters that look seamless, that are interacting with like exact eye contact and things like that. Just the technology's improved so much. And so that's the pitch for White Horse, is that original animated characters and like a couple of my NFT characters are all in this show. And the show is about a bar like Cheers where everybody knows your name, where anybody can come and escape their problems or maybe even solve them. Anybody can hang out with this gang, feel like they belong somewhere. You just can't be an asshole, or you gotta go. So I'm really excited about that show.
Yeah, this sounds awesome. The cityscape of like this show, it feels a lot like Web3, because like here we have a movie star hanging out with a bunch of garbage men. So I do appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, if people can't be assholes, it seems like most people on the internet aren't allowed at that bar. So that actually sounds like a great bar.
I'm always advocating for a return to civility. Like I've really found over the last several years just how comfortable people are with saying awful things to each other, which is just the kind of the opposite of civilized society. There's really no need to be so aggressively anti one another. Just to, but the concept of lording over someone else, the concept, the elevation of the idea of being more significant than someone else has taken such vogue, right? That it's made people who feel oppressed or less than lash out even more aggressively at the people who have the things that they don't, rather than create a conversation about how to achieve these things, or create a conversation about the inequities between those two worlds and how to resolve that. It just becomes a lot of name calling and unproductive infighting.
By the way, it's funny because Kay and I were talking about this earlier. This is a really poignant topic right now, especially given sort of the landscape of the internet and specifically Web3 right now, which I do want to talk to you about in a little bit, since it's sort of interesting to hear you express that perspective and also be obviously, very deeply interested in a space that has those issues pretty prevalent. But before Right. Before we talk about that, something that I wanted to ask you, because there is, the NFT, the Web3 IP integration in the show. How did you land on that? How did that happen?
Well, it's really just the premise concept. So I had bought an ape back in June or July of 21, I guess it would have had to have been. Like whenever that launch happened, I came into him late, but still early compared to the bulk of the world, or at least like the pop awareness. But I love the concept of this, that you had a collective of 10,000, all unique characters that you as a creator had the ability to build on top of what they had built. So the Yuga Labs paid to develop an entire catalog of characters. They paid to develop a design structure, a mechanic, an idea. These apes became so rich that they became bored. That is a seed premise. So from there, you as a creator say, okay, well, this is an ape who is bored. Go. Right? And then my thought was, I didn't know if this would be a pseudonymous identity, if this would be some kind of Twitter alt persona, or if I would use it as a mascot, create like a brand around it. I didn't really have an idea. I just liked the hedge that I could buy a character that was part of a collective, but that I was responsible for defining all of the characteristics and qualities of. That's a really interesting idea. And as a creator, I pay designers all the time to create a character that we've already designed or developed to like give me an aesthetic for a new icon. So the idea of paying for an artist's design that I could use for my own creativity, that wasn't alien to me. In fact, that seemed really, really mainstream. So, but the idea that no matter what you did with your ape, it would always be referenced to this 10,000 asset collective, that's the new idea. That's the new bringing people together to crowdsource innovation. That is where you get grassroots passion around a single concept where everyone is tasked with innovating on behalf of it. So my interest in this whole space is more that, the collective ideation and the group ownership of an intellectual property that is as big as anything else that makes money. The problem is, because NFT is born out of crypto, and because crypto is about money, you have these very competing thought processes in the space at the same time. And I don't know which one of them is going to gain position more quickly. There is the world of people addicted to making quick money, obsessed with stocks and viability and faith hedges. And then there is this entire other world of artists and free thinkers that are trying to shake up the way money actually works and how little total observation is available in a personal financial space, which is very different than like When Moon or pumping my art gobbler for 19 ETH. Like, we're just talking about different things, guys. That's just not what I'm doing. I've collected a bunch of shit, and I've sold a couple things when it made sense to, but go to my OpenSea. It's got 200 NFT in it. I'm not the guy who's like coming into this space trying to make a bunch of quick money. So each of the projects that I've launched are built on that premise. The hard part is everybody's optimism about what's possible isn't quite reconciling with what's happening. You know what I mean? And a lot of what's hedging people into spending a ton of money isn't what's building new intellectual property that's going to ever compete with Disney. It is two firmly different ideas that are not working in Congress together that are never going to coincide.
You bring up an interesting point. First of all, like just with the like origin of apes and everything. When I first got into NFTs, like my story is I first obviously got into crypto, and I was like heavily into like the meme coins and like all the altcoins like early last year when they were pumping.
Just like shake up.
So I was
shake up internet stuff where you're like provocatively fucking with. It's all Fight Club. where everyone's just like, I don't know, maybe it burns.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I was like extremely interested with that. And then once I got into NFTs, like I remember seeing CryptoPunks and I thought they looked amazing, but like I understood like the concept and idea of it, but I was just like, I don't know if this is necessarily something I would put money into, because like I understand the concept. I don't know if like a lot of people would kind of catch on to this, and I don't know if it'll have longevity. But once I remember, like I faded apes when they were first shown to me when they're at like 1 ETH. I was like, this is stupid. I'm not gonna get it. And then it wasn't until like a couple months later when they were like obviously like more expensive. So now it starts to make more sense to me. But I remember when I first read about like that initial like seed premise of, you know, these apes, like their origin story, like they're like just bored. They made so much money off of crypto.
Swamp,
and like
clubhouse,
nothing.
bar.
Yeah, like exactly. I've never seen something that just like has like already a premise in place, and it just like lets your imagination go wild. And so from that's when I first kind of got drawn into NFTs, once I understood that concept. But it's an interesting point to hear of like, I mean, you're a celebrity. You're like you're a top celebrity, especially like in this space. Like you're arguably one of the biggest celebrities here. And one thing that we see with celebrities is that when they come into the space, like their first MO is to just get a bag and like exploit the space and leave. And so it's very refreshing to see you here and hear what you're talking about now, because it's like, that doesn't seem to be the case. And so I kind of want to just like get a little bit more of like your origin story into Web3 as a whole. Like, when did you get into crypto? What was your first NFT? Like, how did you, like, what made sense to you to going, like, one, finding crypto and then going into NFTs?
I should emphasize, I don't care about crypto. Like, I appreciate the concept of decentralized banking, and I absolutely appreciate the lack of governmental oversight in your finances that's capable with the anonymity of crypto. But the world of NFT founders, creators trying to launch projects and still remaining anonymous, it is absolutely the opposite of the foundations of crypto. So my interest is less about advocating for decentralized banking than it is recognizing a new way to globally crowdsource innovation around a singular intellectual property. I love bringing people together around entertainment. I've been interested in art and genre subculture stuff for as long as I've been aware. It's inevitable that I, as a creator, get involved in all of these spaces because they are where the new shit is happening, and I'm always going to be attracted to that. You know, like most people, it was Steve Aoki who got me into NFT. And, it was just that.
Goats.
They approached, we were working with Steve and Matt Colon, and they wanted to develop an on-chain entertainment property. And Steve had built this Character X concept and wanted to develop it into a Dominion X concept. And so that was when we started talking about NFT. While we were developing that project, he said, oh, it was the Sotheby's thing. So I had seen people sell at Sotheby's for real money. And all of a sudden, the category of NFT crossed into art and collectibles. So you're no longer talking about new format digital currency. You're talking about a new format of art and collectibles. And anybody that knows me knows I'm into art and collectibles. Steve was the one who said, you should check out this Bored Ape project. And I did. And there were so many available that I could cast. And I was like, oh, this guy was actually Chris Waters, our head of development at SBS. He was the one who was like, I don't know, I kind of love this guy with the bone tee and the halo. And I was like, oh shit, bone tee halo, that is a character. Skelly tee, halo. Halloween, good guy. Maybe spooky, not gonna fuck you over. I was like, oh, this is
the perfect duality.
This is a great character. So I bought it. And then I sat on it for a while. And I think it was January. Yeah, because I had already been able to mutate him, get the vial and everything. And then it was January before I came up with the idea to make this show. but I think it was December, like December of 21, I set up an anonymous profile that had the ape in it, and I went looking at other projects. I was like, oh, there's some cool shit out here. And I went after anything that had open intellectual property usage, open license capability, anything that looked like a character to me. I kind of went casting. I was like, oh, this is fun. And then I thought about a world, not where the premise of the show is it's all NFT. It's not drawn together. You know what I mean? It didn't feel like that was the point. It felt like I could make characters out of any of these art pieces that I loved and not limit it to just NFT. Like the whole point was to make a character, right? You don't love Mickey Mouse because he looks the way he does. You love Mickey Mouse because all the shit he makes you feel. And he makes you feel stuff because you've shared experiences or adventures with him, or even been able to witness his point of view, his sense of humor. That's what makes you love a character. So I do see that a lot. People putting out 10,000 PFP collections and expecting them to just sell, but like, to who? I keep seeing people say, well, these kind of ideas can sell. What about this idea? And fundamentally missing the point of why it attracted the audience's attention in the first place. So I do think, just to diverge for a second, there's such a saturation in this marketplace from the people who've misunderstood the potential application, or even bad actors just trying to make a ton of money. The space is so saturated that it's going to be a minute before any of these IP really rise in strength because of the support of their fans. I started going to San Diego Comic-Con in '94, and it wasn't until 2008 that any of that intellectual property had become popular or supported enough in a grassroots way that any of the studios or networks thought that it would make money in a larger form if they just invested in it. NFT's kind of in the same space. There's no proof that anybody outside of the NFT world gives a fuck about any of these characters. If I talk to people about my show starring a bored ape, it almost works against it, because they have such a preconceived notion about what NFT means, and nobody's quite proven where the applications are for modern entertainment.
For sure. I can only imagine, dude, because like I used to work in the entertainment industry, and then obviously I've been doing stand-up since like 2019. And making like content here and there. But once the pandemic happened and I was just home, like I was just forced to stay home, had nothing to do. There's only so much weed I could smoke. There's only so much Warzone I could play. I just started making videos every single day. And ultimately, like that's what got me to where I'm at in my career, just because of the ability to be consistent and me having a directing and cinematography background. Like I have like all my own equipment, and it's amazing like how streamlined the entire process is for the current, dude, just the epitome of NGMI. Dude, NFT worlds.
2.
Okay. So
oh my God, that was so funny. Did you get that?
so here's what I wanted to ask you.
Holy shit. I don't think we'll ever be able to repeat that. I mean, you got it, right?
Yeah, no. My camera was on the whole time. The viewers are going to love it, dude. That's
Thank
the best
God.
moment of the
Holy
podcast.
shit. Wow, we are sending that to the Museum of Broadcast. Fuck.
Dude, we might hit 1 million subscribers as long as that was recording. Like that might blow up.
Can you win a Pulitzer for a podcast?
I think so.
After that moment,
we're about to.
After that moment, that was special. But let's not dwell on it, right? Like it is.
No, why would you? Let's move on. You gotta move forward.
This is what I wanted to ask you, Seth, because you alluded to it, right? And it's something I think I talk about all the time. And it's relevant because of how we've seen Reddit onboard people to NFTs without using the word NFT. It's relevant because of sort of some of these Web 2.5 conversations going on right now. You mentioned that it's almost because of sort of this public perception about NFTs, a disadvantage for you to come out and be like, hey, here's my NFT show. Can you speak a little bit to like what sort of pushback you've gotten from including these digital assets?
Well, I think it's critical to express that this isn't an NFT show.
Right.
It's a show that blends live action and animated characters seamlessly without an awareness of it by the characters themselves. A couple of the characters are based on NFT that I own that have the ability to create whatever you want around that character. In each of those cases, when I bought into those collections, because I really like the collections, I like the artist, I like the idea, I liked what they were saying, I reached out to all these people and I said, hey, I'm building a show. I want to include your character. That's clean in the contract, right? And also, do you want to help? Do you want to work together? Like with Valeria, the 15-year-old artist who created the Girlies NFT, I was so struck by that skill, her talent, and then the characters that she created. So I bought like a dozen of those just because I was supporting her in that project. But I wanted to use one main one in our cartoon, or in this show, a cartoon version of her. And so I had Valeria draw me turnarounds. Like, what's her legs look like? What's the style of her? Like, what would she look like from the back? All those kinds of things. So she gave me that so we could use it in our proper animation.
That's awesome.
But wait, that wasn't the question at all. The question was the disadvantage that maybe mentioning NFT has. So yeah, it's exactly that. It's that NFT is as broad a noun as automobile. And it's just been introduced into the vernacular. And as a result, the way that people are learning about automobiles is not with the awareness of the variety of projects, the variety of manufacturers, the variety of purposes, intentions in the projects. Not every NFT has the same goal. Not every NFT is created for the same reason. So there is no universal application to what the utility or the value of this could be, because NFT is just a format. NFT is just the best way that I've been able to describe it to people, the most simplistic thing that they understand, I say it is a digital certificate of authenticity that has not been, at the moment, there's no way for it to cease to exist. So forever, into infinity, the holder of this certificate of authenticity has validated proof that whatever they are representing is both theirs and real. That's NFT. So you can apply that to anything, whether it's money, whether it's art, whether it's collectibles, a club membership. The NFT itself is just a certificate of authenticity that the holder can legally represent this item as their own, and that this item is what they say it is. That's it.
I talk about this all the time. Sorry, Kevin, but I talk
No,
about this.
but the problem is that the way it's been introduced to the audience, like think about it like electric cars. How hard it was just to get people to warm to the concept of electric cars. We're like 20 plus years in, and everyone who's first talking about electric cars, they're taking whatever propaganda. It's like, well, I heard they blow up. I heard they catch fire. The entire two-word electric car as nouns became synonymous with danger, fear, or whatever else. So like in this short term, in this like 2 years that people have been high talking NFT, or these 8-10 years that people have been high talking crypto, that's not even broken mainstream. You've got like less than 1 million total users. Do you know what I'm saying? That's like, it's bigger than the Snyder Bros, but it's still a small enough collective to not quite move culture in a meaningful way. And so you got plenty of people who are coming at it from the financial point of view, who are like, we got to onboard new users because that's the only way that this faith-based experiment will function, is if there's enough faith. And then you got other people who are like, I'm not trying to convert people to crypto. I just like talking about all this art. And then you get other people who are like, how are we going to make money out of all of these new ideas? And then especially you've got like investors, or you've got private citizens who are like, holy shit, I'm seeing people make $1 million off a JPEG. How am I missing out on this? And then just as much, you have people who hear NFT and they think a scam, they think a Ponzi scheme, they think a click that can make you lose $1 million. And all of it's true. all of it is true about one aspect of this, but not each of those aspects are comparable, and none of it is the same shit. It's because we're trying to make a single noun mean thousands of adjectives at the same time. And culture is not familiar enough with the original case usage to be able to absorb all those extrapolations without it breaking their brain. So I don't care about onboarding people to crypto. I'm unconcerned with onboarding people to NFT. And I've been saying for over a year, the main thing you have to solve is these security concerns and then the ease of the protocols. And I think we're going to see a lot more of these things like Reddit, sort of Trojan horsing the functionality of NFT into another premise. My fucking stepmom is never going to learn a ledger. She's never going to get excited. She's never going to care about any of this shit so much that she's going to learn a new technology. So the onboarding myth is, who's even pushing that?
Well, Kevin, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I think the people pushing that are like ones that are looking for exit liquidity. But so enough of this.
Your video
NFT.
on exit liquidity was so good. I feel for Farouk, right? Because he can't. There's the poor guy. Anybody who becomes a face for anything also becomes a target for everything.
Oh, it's crazy right now, Seth.
It's
It
why-
is crazy. It is pitchforks
It's why
in
I
the
just-
virtual streets, crucifixions.
Well, look, guys, all of the NFT Twitter is just getting its first taste of real toxic Twitter.
God.
And I have to tell you, as a person with a verified Twitter account, I have seen all levels of toxic Twitter. I have been the subject of several organized attacks, and it is always fascinating just to witness the people that keep coming back for more. Like I'm a little bit Teflon whenever, especially when somebody's just like name calling you or saying straight lies. I don't feel any need to respond to any of that because all of it's so stupid and so clearly provably false that to engage in the conversation just makes you deny whatever absurdity they've leveled at you in public. And I think that's all they really want. I think that's all they really want is a soundbite of you saying, I never ate monkey farts. That's insane. Why would I bottle monkey farts? You think I've got a bottle that can contain monkey farts and that I spent my time going deep into the jungle, finding the rarest species of monkeys and making sure they fed on the most pungent of foods? And then I patiently hunted with this special patented fart bottle tube extractor that never happened. Send tweet. Like, that's, you're just not going to get me. I make a fool of myself in other ways. Like, I tell everybody that I got robbed, that my NFT got stolen.
I wasn't going to bring it up.
Yeah, same.
Well, here's the truth, guys. Here's the truth. 89% of the people on Twitter were like, ha ha ha, you fucking rich idiot, whatever. And then there was like the 12% who were like, hey, fuck, I'm into NFT. Same shit happened to me. Contact this forensic accounting attorney. Hey, you wouldn't believe it, but you can hit this thing, do all the revokes on this and that. Holy shit, happened to me. Here's as far as I got. Or even just like, hey, dude, sorry about that. Fucking crazy. Try this two-factor authentication. Here's a multi-sig channel you could try. Here's a new format. Like all the thing that I actually expected, which is that there is a community within this passionate collective of people all supporting these ideas. And we have all been interacting as a community for over a year. Yes, mainstream doesn't think it's cool. And yes, I have to take a lot of haha, you're so stupid name calling, but I felt pretty fucking stupid when I got robbed. I really did. So it didn't hurt to get the validation of the actual NFT community going, holy shit, this literally happens to everybody. This is the number one security change that needs to be modified. And you see, it did. I got so vocal. I was like, if OpenSea just put a fucking, hey, this is what you're doing, And now they do. They have a big red. By the way, you're granting access to all of your shit. See, and I was like, that's an improvement. And that only happened because we, the community, were noisy enough to make this space safe enough for anybody that's laughing about it last year to feel comfortable in it 5 years from now.
Yeah, you need to make mistakes in order to grow. That's for sure. You brought up an interesting point about Twitter, because like when I first got into like crypto and NFTs, and everyone's like, yeah, you got to go on Twitter for the alpha. I was like, why the fuck would I go in that cesspool of people just yelling at each other all day about political beliefs? I was like, there's no way.
Because young Twitter is very, very sweet and friendly until it gets infected by all the people who love making other people feel bad.
Yeah,
or robbing other people.
And
young
so,
Twitter, when there was like 2 million people on it, was so much fun.
I was the best.
So fun.
When you would have to text out your tweets to a phone number, that was the greatest. But the point I'm bringing though is like it was funny because when I first joined like NFT Twitter, crypto Twitter, it was like, dude, it's bull market. Like the vibes were up. I was like, oh shit, this isn't the Twitter I recognize. Like everyone's so positive and friendly and community and wag me. And now that we're in a bear market, now that we're in a bear market this week, because all this shit I'm dealing with, I was like, oh, this is just Twitter now. So I'm very used to it, but I wanted to ask you something because I know we've been talking a lot about like
liberally, mute liberally.
Yeah. So I know we've been talking about like Web3 and like NFTs and technology and crypto and all these things, but the thing that like interests me is you got drawn to like NFTs because you're thinking about IP, you're thinking about storytelling, you're thinking about like creation. Yeah. And so I just wanted to kind of like just take it back a little bit. And like, how did you get started in your career? Did you always know you wanted to be in this position that you're in today? Or like, I just want to know a little bit more about how you got started.
Yeah, I love acting. Acting's always been my primary driver. I started acting when I was a real little kid and I pursued it like I just gobbled knowledge. Anything I could learn, anyone I could work with, anybody I could meet. I was weirdly advanced in my intent and discipline, to the point where I just tried shit. You know what I mean? I went after it. I was like, oh, no, this is what I do. I'm an actor. So I'll need to figure out how to survive in this business. And I would meet like older actors and I just paid attention to everybody. I just watched what everybody did. And I was real lucky and I worked real hard, was successful young. That's it. I mean, that really is what it is. I've always known that this is what I do. And so everything else that sort of came along was just along the way. Any actor that I ever loved who really made a big name for themselves played some significant character that they created after they became popular enough to get a shot at creating their own character. So I always take that responsibility really seriously, that I'm responsible for a lot of innovation on my own behalf, that never take personally the fact that the industry continues to evolve. The audience continues to evolve. If you want to keep getting asses in the seats for your stuff, you have to continue to make stuff that's worth their time and not be so arrogant as to assume that just showing up is enough. Like, I know when I'm in something, I got to do the thing that people expect. You show up for something that I'm in, you're like, ooh, I'm going to get something. I try to make that so diverse that you don't think I'm always showing up with and saying like, what the hey? And you're just waiting for me to be like, did I do that, kid? Like, I'm always about, I like to believe, adding fidelity to my brand so that when people think of me, they think of all the ways they've been entertained, all the ways that we've shared emotion, or all the times that they've laughed. So when you think about me in something, you're thinking about the sum total of my work rather than what I was wearing at this award show or who I dated.
You did have some fire outfits, Seth. I'm not gonna lie. I was doing a little bit of due diligence.
You gotta look good, dog. You gotta look good.
You look great, my guy. You look great.
You know what? I love, Kay, what you brought up about sort of Seth's perspective on leveraging NFT technology, right, for just being creative and creating things that matter. But Seth, something you said earlier,
Right, I totally avoided that concept, but it's the truth. Me, I've always been. I love technology for as much as I'm bad at it, and I love all of my interest in any of this stuff is how do I entertain more people? How do I get messages? Something as limited as broadcast. Historically, it can only reach so many people. So the real success of the streamers is being able to have a global reach, being able to put entertainment in different territories. Technology is just another means of doing that. When we created Robot Chicken, it was originally for Web 1. I mean, I don't even know what you call that. We tried to stream content across broadband, across dial-up.
That's
so
Web 0.
pre-broadband, Sony, it's 99. Pre-broadband, Sony was putting some money into a precursor to YouTube. They wanted a linear content portal online, and all they had was dial-up. So they put, I don't know, less than $1 million into a handful of creators to make a bunch of shit. And we were one of those groups. We got about $45,000 to produce whatever we could. And we wound up making 12 stop motion shorts that were all kind of a pop culture deconstruction or parody of current events. And nobody could see it because it took 4 days to download. The resolution on the export was like dial up. It looked like
12 by 12
8-bit.
pixels.
So silly. But that whole venture spectacularly failed. And then I made a deal with the lawyer from Sony Digital, which doesn't even exist anymore, to let us take that content and try and sell it somewhere else. And 4 years later, we sold it to what would have become the Adult Swim.
Epic.
That is, epic is the right word.
So that's my whole point is when shit like the internet was first starting, I was like, oh, cool. Maybe this is a way that we can get entertainment to people. And when NFT showed up as a format that's relative to art and collectibles, I immediately was like, here's a new audience. Here's a new wealth of creators. Here's a whole fucking scene happening right here, the same way that Adult Swim happened in like the early 2000s.
Yeah,
Adult Swim
is iconic.
what it was.
Yeah, Adult Swim is iconic.
But it also
because
it is.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, just to say it can't be that anymore because it's now a subsidiary of 17 much larger corporations that are not putting the same kind of intentional oversight into what happens in this tiny subsidiary. Yeah. So like all the new creators are going elsewhere.
Makes sense.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, Seth, what like really struck me as interesting that you said earlier, because I've never thought about it this way, was whenever you said, hey, I have to pay creators, artists all the time to create characters for me. This is not foreign to me to pay for this IP that I can then go leverage, right? And that is something that I legitimately, I know people buy, talk about buying NFTs, they're going to license the IP. I've never encountered somebody speak about it at sort of the scale that you have, right? And you might have, I don't know the intricacies, the financial intricacies. You might have even looked at that and been like, hey, this is kind of a good deal, right? Versus hiring, if I had hired teams, do all these iterations, maybe not. But
well, it's definitely, it was a calculated risk, the cost of buying it versus what I thought I could turn it into.
Right.
And what I thought the value of having an individual character that is still inexorably within a larger collective. There's pros and cons to that too. Like if any of the BAYC stuff gets fucking blacked out in one way or another in the marketplace through whatever circumstances, it becomes persona non grata. That's definitely a disadvantage, like being able to relate back to it even on a smaller scale. The upside is once I've taken the character, I've spread him so far away from any of the root elements that it would be provable in court as a new identity. Right. Like and because I'm making Robot Chicken for fucking 16 years, I've really gotten well familiar with what the legal precedents are in intellectual property and copyright defense with exploitation in multimedia. So
You know all about that. Yeah, now that I think about it.
enough that I'm like, this will take us to court, or this won't take us to court, or you know what? Take us to court, because this won't work out for you. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like the only person that's like uniquely positioned to have that experience, to be able to take this new idea and to see the legal ramifications of it in and out, and just kind of know that just from your own personal experience. So that's refreshing to see, because I'm seeing a lot of these NFT projects coming out, and they're like, we're making a show, and then it's like, it's an NFT show, and it's like already off the messaging. You're like, this is dead in the water, because you're presenting it as an NFT thing. And then on
The
top
best
of that,
example of it, though, like successful version of that is the Stoner Cats,
Yeah.
or the gimmicks, like what they've been able to do. And you know, I gave them a lot of shit in the beginning just from token gating the content, which I still don't think is the best way about it. But what they did was they used all the token gate to create the content, to get it made at a price, to like have it have a high level of quality, and then they're brokering that into a different space. Like they'll get that on broadcast. Stoner Cats is going to go to broadcast. So,
Interesting.
But even then, they're the best case for proving the idea of collectively owned copyright and the ability to exploit your own content. But it's almost proving that it's also proving that the percentages of people who demand that and then follow through with it is it's less than 20%. Less than 20%. So 80% of the people that buy into the project are just demanding a flip, demanding some financial recoupment, and they're furious about that. They don't want to do any of the work on their own, not even like Twitter work, to make this thing viable enough for it to be the thing that they're talking about. So it's challenging. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm gonna have to wrap up.
Oh, you're good. You're good. No worries.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hate it. I know we got cut out a bit because of the time.
Yeah.
But let's do it. Let's do a speed round. We got like another 3 minutes.
Okay, champ. It's on you.
100%. Well, you know, Seth, actually, but the one really sort of main item I wanted to talk about before you left here, and we're talking about NFT collections, launching shows, things of that nature, is PizzaBot, right? We haven't gotten to talk about it at all on the show, so I know you don't have a lot of time left, but
yeah.
But I'd love to hear just a little bit about what plans like that look like for the future, and what's on the near-term horizon.
I can get into that really quick. I can give you a summary of that. So the hardest thing about PizzaBot is I think that people really fundamentally misunderstand the way a roadmap works in total conjunction with the success of the project itself. And so, you know, we wanted to mint 6,000 of those. And included in our roadmap is we're going to get exclusive material to people. Everybody gets a digital subscription to heavy metal. We're going to be putting PizzaBot origin stories in the magazine. And the whole thing is building towards this movie that I'm writing right now with somebody and I want to direct. And it's like After Hours meets Big Trouble in Little China. All about the underground, ancient, mythological Willy Wonka style octathlon of pizza delivery. and so the PizzaBot are derivatives of PizzaBot Prime, who is one of the competitors in this competition. But in the world where this all exists, PizzaBot Prime's Pizza Palace is the origin of PizzaBot is that he was, you know, a Chuck E. Cheese style animatronic in a pizza palace that got shut down because of all kinds of accusations against the owner. And it sat by itself in a massive parking lot in foreclosure by the bank for almost a year when one of the animatronics was struck by lightning and gained self-awareness. And then that animatronic renamed itself PizzaBot Prime and has spent all of its time building the ultimate pizza production and delivery operation. And so he has constructed thousands of pizza bots, both in an effort to do this work that he needs done, but also in an effort to recreate the circumstance that gave him self-awareness. So the only concession with a pizza bot that anybody owns, which they can do anything they want with, is that their pizza bot was created by Pizza Bot Prime. Other than that, give it any story you want. This is the existing mythology. We are doing this lift of continuing to fortify this mythology with existing facts. And then we're working on, there's two things that I wanted to do with the pizza bots that we haven't mechanically been able to work out yet. Because we only minted 2,000 of them, it fucks the trait rarity spectrum in a way that none of us like. So we are working on building a gashapon kind of trade-in where we have the ones that haven't been minted, and anyone can trade in one that they want for the one that they want while the supplies last. The mechanics of that are incredibly complicated and expensive, and we have not been able to pull it off yet, and I know that holders are mad about it. The other thing is we wanted to build a sandbox environment. I had purchased a volume of NFT worlds with which to build this. I don't know if anybody heard. None of that shit works anymore. So we had to completely regroup. We had a meeting as recently as this last week with Sandbox people. We are as far along as we have been able to get on creating Sandbox assets for everybody and an environment wherein they could play. I emphasize, we had hoped this project would mint over 6,000. We minted 2,000. I don't know if people really understand the way that compromises your ability to fulfill your roadmap or the way any of this shit works. I love PizzaBot. It is a real functioning project that is attempting to prove all of the viability of these ideas. It is incumbent on our holders to do the work too. I gotta jump.
Dude,
I'm so
Seth,
sorry, guys.
listen,
You're good.
But thank you so much for
Thank
talking
you so
to me
much.
Thank
about
you for
all
being
this.
You
here,
and the
Seth.
Pizza Bot team are in my thoughts and prayers. You're a brilliant individual.
We're making shit.
Yeah, I fucking loved having you on the show, man. Thank you for making me feel relevant and important for 1 hour. It's been a pleasure. And
Yeah, I appreciate you, Seth.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank
gang.
you so much.
Be well. Talk to us. See you out there. Good luck.
Take care.
Later.
Dude, what an epic guy.